During this past summer, I did not expect my volunteering trip to Peru to alter my perspective so much on what I wanted to do with the rest of my life and my future career. When I first stepped into this university-ran zoo, the story and introduction of all the animals stuck with me. They were all rescued from the illegal animal trafficking trade that is heavily present in the Americas today. A local caretaker gently placed a rescued capuchin monkey in my hands, Louis. He had come in with scars all over his body, and he was the oldest in the zoo at 20 years old. This made me realize that environmental issues are not distant, but they are real, and they can look back at you. Through Maximo Novel, I was able to volunteer in San Jose, Costa Rica the previous summer as well. I gained experience in working in both a zoo and an animal shelter, and I originally thought that the tasks were going to be simple. Cleaning enclosures, feeding and playing with the animals. Little did I know that I was going to get insight into the monstrosities that plague these still developing countries today. Most of us, when we think of environmental issues, think of melting ice caps or wildfires, or the record high of fossil fuel emissions at 38.1 billion tons in 2025. These are all things that we have been taught in classes or that we see on our local news, yet they don't encapsulate the bigger picture. Although these events are extremely important to know about and understand, I was struck by how personal and urgent environmental issues are in Spanish-speaking countries. In both Peru and Costa Rica, it was common to see stray dogs wandering the streets due to lack of healthcare and shelters in the area. I also witnessed animals being brought to rehabilitation centers due to their habitat being stripped away from them or because they were just brought in through the trade. As physically and mentally exhausting as taking care of these anxious animals was, environmentalism isn't optional in these areas, and most of the time it can mean life or death. Even though most of these places don't have the same resources as we do in America, this didn't matter much to the locals. And had just come into the shelter. This dog had come in scared, shaking, and severely underweight. As I was bathing this dog, the local caretaker informed me of her story. She was living near a river where piles of trash were being burned due to unreliable waste collection. This was the moment that stuck with me. I realized that environmentalism isn't just about ecosystems or wildlife, but it's about individuals. I realized that many countries have to deal with environmental impacts that they had no part in creating. And many nations create these impacts expecting other countries to pick up the pieces. Standing there with a trembling dog in hand, understanding her story and what she had been through shifted something within me. When I came back to the States, I could not shake this feeling of guilt knowing what I had experienced for the past 2 summers. I started being more self-aware of the products that I would choose, the waste that I produced, and the conversations that I would have with others about environmentalism and sustainability. Even though we live thousands of miles away from Costa Rica and and Peru. And most of us will never get the opportunity to volunteer in a zoo in the Andes or a Costa Rican shelter. The choices that we make here have impacts there. This connects my story to yours and your story to theirs, because we all share the same environmental story, and we all call the same earth home. As John Dalton stated, matter cannot be created nor destroyed. All the decisions that we make here, the waste that we produce, the products that we choose, and what we support affects someone somewhere. Though our stories shape us, the stories that we choose to live shape those around us. Let's think back to how we started with the oldest capuchin monkey in a university-ran zoo. I thought, I can't fix this broken system, but I soon realized that I was able to help one small part that could then create a chain reaction. Because environmental impact doesn't start with governments or global summits, but it starts with stories of people who choose to care. Let me ask you this. How is your story and experiences shaping the world around you?